Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien and Bubba here on Saturday, July 7th, sitting in for Paul Harvey today. Stand by for the rest of the story. Well, the rest of the story today is interesting. It's about the law. And when you hear the story, you'll find that the law is not justice and it's not what you consider law. And you have these laws that you have to abide by and you don't even know about them. And then when you get caught, you'll be in the same position as this poor man was. So here comes the rest of the story. Well, there was this young man who had a rough upbringing and finally got some money. So he decided he was going to go out in the world and make his mark. So he met this fellow, and they decided to go half and half in a tavern. He would be the barkeep, the other guy would run the tavern. 50-50. You know, a good partnership, right? So they did the old fashioned handshake, opened up their tavern. 2 months later, he realized that, hey, he was doing everything, and the other guy was doing nothing. Usual partnership, huh? Well, he quit being the barkeep and quit the partnership, or so he thought. 5 months later, uh, he gets a summons to the judge, and the judge says, "Well, sir, uh, the tavern is incurred some liability which you are responsible for." And he says, "No, sir, I quit the partnership." And he says, "Do you have any proof of that?" "Well, no, sir, we had a handshake, and then I told him I was leaving." And he said, "Well, uh, the handshake is considered a contract, and you have to put it in writing if you wanted to leave. So you have not fulfilled your obligation. So therefore, you're due half of what the liabilities are," which happens to be $100. But in those days, it was $100 was like, say, $1,000 or $10,000 to today's ordinary person. And he says, "Well, I don't have the money. I put it all in the tavern, and I don't have anything." And he says, "Okay, we'll sell all your belongings, including your transportation, and pay it that way." So the judge did. The poor fellow, he was beside himself, but he decided to go. And of course, he had nothing, so he had to start over. 6 months later, he gets hauled on over the same judge, and he says, "Well, your ex-partner has passed away, and the tavern has $1,100 in debt. So you are responsible for this." And the young man says, "Well, Judge, you got me for the other ones, and I told you I ceased to exist in the partnership." And he says, "Did you put that in writing? Did you go back and put it in writing, say that you ceased to exist in the partnership?" "No. Therefore, the law says that you owe this." And he said, "If I spent more time living and not looking at the law, which you should have, you would have been in better shape. So my advice to you, son, is to look at the law and see what it affects you. The law is number one. You are not." Those were the words of the judge. Well, the young fellow left there, and it took him a long time to pay that $1,100. But he took something from the judge, and he thought to himself, "I better look into this law because it's killing me." So he did. After he paid the $1,100, he mortgaged himself and, how would you say, mortgaged himself to do a lot of different things so he could put himself and became a barrister, which he did. He became a lawyer and found out what the law was all about. And 25 years later, you had 7 years ago. And now you know the rest of the story. This is your favorite alien and Bubba, sitting in for Paul Harvey. Good day.